This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Listener discretion is advised as some cases contain graphic content. We mean no disrespect to anyone we discuss in this podcast except our exes. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. However, we will be expressing our personal opinions. Buckle up, Buttercup.
Hey guys, it's Cynthia.
And I'm Wes, and this is Love and Luminol, a true crime podcast.
Yay, and we're back. We weren't here last week because SummerSlam.
Yep.
But this week we're going to dive right in. We're going to get to Danye Jones?
Danye Jones, are you sure?
Donnie? I don't know.
Danye.
But we'll figure it out before we get into it.
All right, well.
All right, guys.
Here we go.
And we're back, and it is Danye. I played a little video so we'd hear the name. But, oh, you're right, Danye. But, you got anything mentioned before we jump onto this rough one? You ain't gonna like it. You never like any of them.
No.
All of them are horrible.
I'm gonna just quit.
Every time he's like, why do you do this to me? But you're gonna be very opinionated with this one too, probably.
Nope, I'm just gonna sit here in silence.
You're gonna sit here? You're just gonna sit here and silently cuss in my mind.
I'm not gonna say a word. I'm not even here this episode. You're just gonna
just talking to myself?
Yep.
Just me, you guys, that's all that's here. But Danye Dion Jones. I hope it's Dion. D-I-O-N. How you gonna say that one? Danye Dion? He clocked out. He's like... But Danye Dion Jones, he's a 24-year-old. And right there he is. Sharp young man.
Yeah.
I like that suit.
Yeah.
I like it. Buddy, this is taking place in Ferguson, Missouri.
Okay.
You got any info about Missouri? Never been.
Never been to Missouri?
I don't know. No. Is there anything exciting in Missouri?
Tech 9. KC Mo. Whoa.
No, I was thinking landmarks.
Kansas City. Luke lives in Joplin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. St. Louis.
You been there? Joplin?
No, but I've been to St. Louis. I've been to Kansas City.
Never been.
Been to a few places in Missouri.
Gotta add it to my bucket list. But his mother's name, Melissa McKinney's. Have you heard that name?
No.
No, I'm surprised. There's Melissa McKinney's.
Okay. Why would I have heard her name?
We'll get into it. I don't know why this app she has sunglasses on, but if you look at it, and you guys can see, she's got a random eyeball, like up on the top of her glasses. Like I could see her eye there, and there's a random creepy ass eye right on top.
Are you sure this is just not a reflection of something random in the sky?
It must be, and it turned it into an eyeball.
It's a UFO.
I see it must be the lighting reflecting like a street light, and it turned it into an eyeball.
I think it's a UFO.
Of course you would.
We just caught evidence of alien crafts in this case. It's in the reflection in her glasses.
And this app made it an eyeball. It's the same shape, I guess.
It's not an eyeball.
It's not?
You think it looks like an eyeball because your brain is trying to find patterns, but that's a spaceship.
That's definitely an eyeball.
They paint it to look like an eyeball so that people think that God's in the sky looking at them.
Like Jesus walking out of the clouds in that one video.
Yeah.
But stepfather, name is Derek Chapman. And you wouldn't know this guy. I don't know this guy. But there's that player. I like that hat. That's the kind of hat you like. What is it? Fedora?
Fedoras, yeah.
Yes, sharp. But Danye tried to start his own real estate company. So
okay.
Young man, 24, he's already thinking big.
There you go.
Want to have an own real estate. That's impressive. But it was unsuccessful. But the thought crossed his mind. I'm thinking, like, My
least he
kid
thought
at
about it.
24, he's like, should I finally get that PlayStation 9 I want? Or
PlayStation 9?
you know, like, I don't think I'm sitting there and be like, I'm going to start a real estate business.
PlayStation
No.
9?
He's thinking about,
That's going to be
when
like...
does KFC close? Can I make it?
PlayStation 9 is just going to be a chip installed in your brain.
Probably.
It'd be like, I'm playing right now. Everybody
This
shut
kid-
up.
I'm playing right now. Shut up. This kid had big dreams. He was just living life day to day.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I said you might know his mom is because she was an activist.
Okay.
So I figured her name might have popped up in CNN.
I mean,
or
it may
whatever you
have.
listen
I just
to.
may not have remembered it.
But there she is.
Melanin.
Her shirt says melanin, a dark brown to black pigment responsible for tanning of skin. What makes black girls... What does that say?
Magic.
Magic? Why black don't crack. So she was an activist.
Okay.
Really big into protests and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
She was a member of the grassroots organization Lost Voices that protest movements. So that looks like a car bombing. But
All right.
she was into that kind of activist movements, protesting, things like that. She was
Setting car bombs?
I don't think she personally set the car bomb, but she was active in the protests that helped spark the Black Lives Matter movement.
All right.
Following the fatal shooting of Black Ferguson, teenager Michael Brown, by a white police officer in August 9, 2014. You heard that one?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, she was big into that movement for that one. You're like, I definitely did. But that's Michael Brown.
Yeah, we know that one.
Yeah, you're like, I know that one. Officer Darren Wilson resigned after this and was never charged in the shooting. He's just
Bullshit.
like, I quit.
Bullshit.
They're like, okay, that's good enough.
He should be in prison.
He should be. But that's the officer that shot this poor man.
Yeah.
So yeah, now, yeah. But
I
she
know
was
that
part
one.
of this big movement and trying to raise the awareness and get this guy to a lot more trouble and just fired.
He really should have been.
He should have, definitely.
Yeah.
But we're going to jump ahead to October 16th of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
That's when all this shit goes down. Nothing to do with him. But Melissa gave her son a hug and an I love you before watching him head into the backyard.
Okay.
She was, and this is her and him, because they were like thick as thieves.
Yeah.
So, you know, he was obviously living with her. She saw him. I think she worked, or one of them worked different shifts. And so it was like oh, love you, you know, and one of them was going to bed and the other was getting started.
Gotcha. Like they're always passing each other.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
So it was like I love you. And then he was heading out to the backyard and she was going up to bed.
Okay.
But he then texted his sister, Mamisha. It's a pretty unique name. I like it. Quote, I'm sorry. About 15 minutes after he went into the yard. And she replied, I love you. Quote. So he just randomly texts his sister, like, sorry. She's like, I love you. Like, whatever.
Sorry.
She's like, what did you do? And that's what we were wondering. I don't know if he had a disagreement with her, like if they had a little sibling spat earlier.
Yeah.
Her reply wasn't like a worried, like, what did you do? Like, why are you saying sorry? What's, you know?
Okay.
She was just like, you know, I love you. Like, I love you. So I don't know
So
if they
something
had a
must have
spat,
happened,
an
yeah.
argument, disagreement, something. Because she wasn't like, why are you sorry? What's going on? And she's just like, love you.
Okay.
So,
I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
He's going to end up dead. And that sorry text is going to be used to say he committed suicide.
We'll see.
I'm going that way already.
You're going that way already?
Yep.
But we're going to jump because this is the evening of the 16th. So October 17th, Melissa had a dream when she went to bed that night. She had a dream of a panther pulling her by her arm and her hand.
Okay.
And when she woke up, her arm was hurting. So she called her husband. He came home to check with her. Because obviously, you know, your arm's hurting. She's like, am I having a heart attack? Like,
Yeah, it
what's
could be
happening?
something. Yeah.
So she called Derek to come home check on her. When he got home, he realized the basement lights were still on. Melissa is a stickler for wasting electricity. Me too, girl. It's expensive. So it was odd for Danye, who stayed in the basement, that was where he stayed, separate level, to leave the lights on.
Okay.
Because, she's like, turn those lights off. You ain't there, turn them off.
Yeah.
But so Derek yells down there to Danye, but doesn't get an answer. So they check downstairs and Danye's not there. So they're like, okay, whatever, turn the lights off. There was a brick next to his bed, which was weird. They're
brick?
like, okay. Yeah, there's a brick laying next to his bed and the floor. They're like, that's really random.
Yeah.
He ain't you saw him in a suit and tie, so he's not a messy kid.
Yeah, but, why would there even be a brick
and
in there?
Then, where's the brick? So they ran out to the backyard to see if maybe he was outside lounging around, because it's pretty nice outside. And that is when she discovered her son dead.
Okay.
He was hanging from a tree in the backyard.
Ah, fuck you.
Yep. By a bedsheet. So that time when he headed to the backyard and she went to bed. Yeah, it's the last time she saw him. They went outside to see, because that's where she saw him going. She's like, maybe he's out there lounging, he fell asleep. Went out there, he's hanging from the tree. She immediately called 911. And Melissa on the 911 call says she cannot go back there because they're like, is he alive, breathing, whatever. She's like, I can't go back there because I can't see my baby like that. So she says, Derek, here, her husband, you got to, yeah, like I cannot function. So he took over the call and the ambulance told him to cut Danye down. They're like, cut him down. And he said he's already in the process of doing it. He's like, that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm already cutting him down. There was a wooden chair knocked to its side under the tree where he was hanging. So there's the tree, and then there's that wooden chair that was laying down there. Police arrived to the scene fairly quickly. Public information supervisor with the St. Louis County Police Department at the time was Sean McGuire, and he stated in an interview with Rolling Out on the quote, on the morning of October 17th, 2018, officers responded to a 911 call of a suicide in the 11400 block of Criterion. Upon arrival at the scene, responding officers noted the deceased lying on the ground surrounded by family members. So that was him. That's him, Mr. Sean McGuire. And so instantly he put out a statement saying he rolled up on a suicide at this address. Like, they walked into it thinking that's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
The lead detective on the case was a Timothy Anderer. I don't know. I might be saying that right. But Melissa saw the lead detective outside in the front of the house that day. And he was laughing and conversing with other officers and detectives.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know what's so fucking funny at the moment. But
yeah.
She saw him, just like, it's a suicide, whatever. And they're laughing and chatting.
Yeah.
And she also witnessed detectives in the backyard around where Danye was just hanging out laughing too. So this poor mother's found her son hanging from her tree in the backyard. And she sees all these detectives and cops that came. And they're just like standing around laughing with each other.
Yeah.
And of course, that's very offensive to her.
I would say
because this
so.
is a horrible time. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no suicide note left. An autopsy, they did the drug screen, and he had some cannabis in his system, but no alcohol.
Okay.
So nothing really. The St. Louis County Police, for the spokesman, they used this Sean McGuire guy to do all the news interviews and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He said there was no signs of a struggle or any trauma to the body.
Okay.
He said no struggle, no trauma. Pretty cut and dry case. But, Mama don't believe that. She's like,
I wouldn't either.
Bullshit. So she had asked for photos, asked for details, and she said there was definitely, even she saw it when she was there and saw him, if there was bruises on his face.
Yeah.
She said, I saw bruising on his face, and also there was ligature marks on his wrists.
Like he was tied up.
Yeah. But his case was ruled quickly a suicide. And his family did not agree at all.
Nope.
Melissa said Danye the night before, when she saw him, seemed excited about an upcoming trip he had planned.
Yeah.
He was excited about his real estate business that he was working on, because it wasn't successful at the time, but he was determined to build it and get it going. The last time she saw him, he was watching YouTube videos about his upcoming business. He's actually watching videos on how to make your real estate business
So he's
grow.
making plans.
Yeah, he had future endeavors. And she told him she was very proud of him. Because, you know, he's getting time into it. There's some pictures of him, graduation, some hanging out. At the scene, when she found him, his pants was rolled down. Not pulled down, but like rolled down.
That's weird.
Yeah, that is very weird. And you don't have to, there's some pictures in here. We'll get to it, but his mother, being an activist, was really pushing this was not a suicide. So anything she saw that seemed iffy, she posted. So there's some pictures of him. This is one of his pants rolled down. We're not going to post this. She posted it, but I don't know her feelings today, and I ain't about to post this woman's child like this. So you guys can Google it if you want to.
So you're not seeing it. I'm seeing it, but you're not going to see it.
You're not going to see these photos, but that's one of his pants, and you can tell they're kind of rolled down, not pulled down, but... So Danye had an overnight bag packed, and it was sitting on the porch.
Okay.
So he even had a bag packed because he was going to stay somewhere. His mother said that suggested that he trusted and was planning on staying overnight with somebody.
Yeah.
And she thinks that person must have showed up and ended up killing him for some reason.
Maybe.
Because he had his bags on the porch, like, you come and pick me up, let's go.
Yeah.
So, Melissa said he was upbeat before his death, and he has never been suicidal. She also said he didn't know how to tie the knots used in the ligature that he had.
Yeah.
Those knots were Navy knots. And she said he can tie his shoes, that's about it. Like, he's not a knotsmith, so
yeah,
he wouldn't have known to do that. The sheets he was hung with also did not match any sheets from the house.
Well, that's a dead giveaway right there.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know where these sheets came from, but they are not his, and I've never seen them before in my life. The administrator of the coroner's office was Suzanne McCoon, and she said they don't issue preliminary findings. So she wasn't saying nothing until her ruling was final.
Yeah.
Because she obviously knows what way she's leaning, and she knows the mother probably isn't leaning that way, and she didn't want any fighting.
Yeah.
So she's like, when I rule it, you'll know then. But ended up, no autopsy was conducted.
The hell?
No. Like, pictures were taken. There's some notes, but there wasn't no thorough, detailed autopsy.
That seems a bit odd.
Yeah. So I don't know how she can confirm strangulation versus a hanging if she didn't, like, do an autopsy and observe the marks and stuff.
And, yeah, how it...
Yeah, because there's a difference from pulling up and then pulling back and down or something. Straight back. So if she didn't do an autopsy, I don't know how she can rule...
I don't know.
Effectively, and how she can justify her ruling. Like... So I was like,
I would think it would be needed.
Yeah. He would have to be. And plus, I think they even, to make sure there's a bone in here that breaks if it's pulled a certain way or something, or tissues in the neck for damaged tissues in the neck, but nothing was performed like that. So
that's just weird.
Yeah. There's also, after his death, some rumors popped up that he was gay. So what that's got to do with,
I don't know what that matters.
I know. But his family thinks that he was targeted for both his mother's work, and they said he might have been gay. Who cares? So they said that could have been a reason he was targeted too.
Yeah.
Either way, but
I don't know.
Me either.
So, all right. The hanging makes me think it has to do with his race or his mother's work.
Her mother, yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Because Black Lives Matter.
And this was.
And then this is kind of like a direct contradiction to that statement. Mm-hmm. But the pants rolled down makes me feel like it has something to do with his sexuality too.
Or just plain embarrassment.
Yeah, but I don't know. That one's hard. It's just like I can see reason either way being a reason.
Yeah. I don't even think there's a way, like, if his pants were loose, they would have rolled down like that just by him hanging. Gravity.
I wouldn't think so.
They would have been more of a just pulled down.
Not unless it was like loose enough where like he's wearing shorts. That's not underwear. Those are shorts.
Yeah.
Guys that wear basketball shorts like that underneath their jeans usually are sagging. So his pants could have been low on him.
And they just slid down.
And maybe they slid down. I don't know. That's hard to say.
Tell. The verbiage of
everybody
rolled kind of throws me off.
That used to wear their pants low and saggy like that wore basketball shorts underneath. It just keeps your underwear from showing.
Yeah.
Like
keeps your ass in.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah. Also throws me off, his hands are like...
They're clenched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like his hands are...
That's weird.
He's got veins popping, like he's clenched.
But that also leans towards the dying during the hanging itself.
Yeah, that's what.
Because when people commit suicide and they hang, that like they really tense up and their fists ball up like that, because they're trying to hold themselves in that position until they're gone, without like reaching for their neck and trying to loosen it. They're just like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. There's a lot going on here.
But even then, you don't know if someone could have like forced him up there and just let him go, and he'd still be alive the time that he was.
They would have
or tied a rope around him and pulled him up.
Yeah.
I mean, anything could have. That don't rule it
I'm
out
just
one way or the other,
holding your fists straight out like that, because I mean his arms would have to be straight out and his fists like clenched like that.
True, and figured he'd be pulling.
But you did say there was marks on his wrist, so maybe they were pulling him down.
Oh. They had his arms.
Like, yeah, maybe
so he couldn't pull at the rope.
Like,
or
yeah,
something?
your arms are being pulled down, so you can't do anything about it.
Because normally, yeah.
Maybe that's why the pants are down too. Maybe somebody was pulling them.
And he's kicking and.
I don't know.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
That's why I really think this autopsy should have been more thorough.
Yeah, there definitely should have been an autopsy, because then they would have looked more into like, are there bruises on different parts of his body? Is there marks on his wrists?
Yeah.
Is there a broken bone from a hanging, or is there, strangulation type?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that they could have found out through an autopsy.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Of course, Melissa just could not. She saw him and she's like, I can't. So she called 911, but she had to go. Yeah. So her husband, Derek, who's trying to cut him down, thought the scene did not look right. Because obviously you see him and you're probably thinking, well, if they took a picture of him still up, how'd they cut him down? That's because he thought the scene did not look right. So before cutting him down, he snapped pictures real quick. Okay. And Melissa's brother was there too. So, visiting with him. So they both kind of took a bunch of pictures of different stuff while he was cutting him down. So that way they documented it. Like, this looks weird. He wouldn't have done this. Yeah. So we wanted to document before we move him. It was Melissa's brother, Daniel, who took the picture of Danye hanging because Derek went to get something, cut him down. So he's like, I'm going to go get something, cut him down, take a pic real quick, just because this don't look right. And so that's when Melissa caught him, like, coming through the house. She's like, I can't, here, take this phone. He's like, okay. And they're like, cut him down. He's like, that's what I'm doing right now. Like he was in the house getting the knife and back out.
Yeah, I definitely see the process. So
yeah. It was kind of I didn't want people to think like they're standing there just taking pictures of him. No, one was taking pictures. The other was going to get something to cut him down. Mm-hmm. And caught the 911 call on the way out. But Melissa said on Facebook, quote, I'm sick and losing my mind, but I had to let the world see what they did to my baby. And so she posted photos on her Facebook of Danye hanging with the words, quote, they lynched my baby. So she was like, I'm definitely bringing up awareness that this is not, he did not do this. Yeah. So instantly And this is one of the photos she posted. I did not put the other photo she posted because it was of the chest up. And I did not want to.
So you could see everything.
Yeah, you could see him. And I did not want to do that. But it was put on Facebook.
Just so everybody knows, the photo I'm looking at right now is literally from like
The bottom of his
down.
belly button
Belly
down.
button down. You can see his wrists and his fists, his shorts, his knees, all the way down to his shoes. That's pretty much what you can see.
But what she posted on Facebook was a more detailed chest up face, and I was like,
you'd be able to see the sheet around his neck and everything.
Yeah, everything. No.
Yeah.
But Facebook took the post down, because obviously,
Well,
Yeah. I'm sure it wasn't for
I can see why.
nefarious reasons, but they're probably like, you can't really post this stuff on Facebook.
Like, that's somebody who just
no matter the cause.
That's like, I mean, that's like even with the Logan Paul situation where he was doing the YouTube video in the woods and they found somebody.
Forest.
Yeah, like that they're like, nope, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got busted for that, not for the showing the photos, but for the comments he made about him.
Yeah. But regardless, you can't post that.
However, Facebook didn't take it down fast enough because people screenshotted it, saved it, posted it on other sites, so it was spread all over social media.
Wow.
I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm torn on this one. I'm like, I know she thinks it's wrong. She wants to bring awareness.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, would he have wanted this? Like,
I mean, as close as he is with her and understands what she does, he might have understood, like, yeah, let's get these fuckers,
like,
you know?
I know they did it. I mean, even if I disagree with that, like, do I really want to post pictures of my child like that for everyone to see?
I mean, I get both sides of it.
Yeah, that's why
I think he might have been okay with it simply because he was right with her with all the stuff she was doing, so.
True. I'm like, But Melissa stated to the press, quote, "If you're out there and you had something to do with my child's death, the murder, the lynching of Danye Jones, you better start turning in on your folks." That's what she said. She said, "I'm coming after you." And Ferguson, Missouri, has a terrifying past regarding race and homicides.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think Missouri would have that problem, but I guess. Is it down by Alabama and stuff?
I'm not sure geographically where it is.
It wasn't my strong suit in school.
I mean, I'm just not familiar with
that's Mississippi.
where all the
I'm
towns
thinking
are
I'm thinking Mississippi.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I know. So when I was a kid and I lived in Chicago, I lived in Chicago and then we moved to Tennessee. My dad still lived in Chicago, so I would have to do summer visits with my dad in Chicago. And I know when we would drive to Tennessee from Chicago, we had to go through Missouri. So it would be like Illinois, Missouri, Tennessee. So Missouri touches Tennessee, but I think on this bottom end, it touches Kentucky too.
Oh. See,
the very tip of, I think, Kentucky, because Kentucky goes like this, and I think the very tip of it touches.
Down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think, because I know if you get south, like Alabama, Mississippi's horrible about that stuff.
Well, yeah.
I didn't think Missouri being up close to Kentucky and stuff.
No, Missouri's bad too.
Is it?
Yeah.
But family friend Daryl Gray was also a prominent activist. And he said that members of their group get harassed and threatened via text and social media all the time. And that's him. He found a package in his car earlier that year, 2018, and the bomb squad was called and determined that it was not an explosive, but it contained a 6-foot-long snake.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Police continue to investigate the deaths of 2 prominent Ferguson protesters, who were both found killed inside torched vehicles.
Damn.
Yeah. DeAndre Joshua, who was 20, in November of 2014, and Darren Seals in September of 2016. Those were 2 found dead in torched cars. And that one would be DeAndre. Mm-hmm. And then that's Darren.
All D's.
Yep. Daryl, Deontay, Darren, Derek. It's like Danye. A bunch of them.
All D's.
Huh. I didn't even notice that till you mentioned it.
I just solved the case.
You solved it. A bunch of D's.
They're just going after D's.
Well, here's another one. Throw you in there. In 2017, activist member Edward Crawford.
Oh, they went to the next letter. They're going down the alphabet.
Crawford, they're going down the alphabet. This guy didn't die.
Oh.
But, no, he did die.
Well, there you go.
But he was seen in an iconic photo tossing a canister of tear gas away from protesters that were protesting Brown's death because cops threw, I guess, tear gas, and he just picked it up and threw it back at him. Yeah. And I have that picture right there.
Oh, I love that dude. That's badass.
That is. He picks it up with his hand, just tosses it right back at him.
I love
tear
that.
gas. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
That's a very popular picture with the protest down there, and it was rolling too. You see all that fume and sparks, and he just picked it right up and tossed it. That's awesome.
He had
That
some
dude's
balls.
bad. He did. That's a badass dude. But police found him dead and claimed that he died from a, quote, self-inflicted wound while in the back seat of his own car.
Of course.
Because why would he be in the back seat of his own car? Mm-hmm. There's a podcast covering Danye's case called After the Uprising. And it has his mom on there talking a little bit about it and about her activist work. So I listened to some of it. But
okay.
There's the death of Danye Dion Jones. So it's interesting if anyone want to listen to it. There's an 11-part investigative series that comes from the mobile news brand Now This.
Okay.
They did a little documentary series on him. Journalists John Duffy and Ray, Nowoselski? Nowoselski? Don't ask me. Spent 2.5 years working with Melissa, Danye's family members and close friends, and many in the activist community to gather information for the podcast. So those are the guys that made that podcast. So they went around collecting interviews. They talked to his mom, his friends, gathered all that information. Zachary Walter created an album of series scores for the podcast. So they even had someone make music for this
Wow.
podcast. Oh, no.
Oh. Excuse you.
She said, I'm healed for my shot.
Yeah. That was your shot. That's all you got.
She's like, my cameo is important.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
And then this is his mother talking to one of the gentlemen that made this podcast.
Okay.
But Ray believes Timothy failed to follow all leads. It was in his, I think these pictures I got from their biographies on the podcast. But he says in his podcast, quote, it appears based on the reports that Detective Onderer, that's it, Timothy, did only 3 real things after Danye's death until he filed his report. One of them was that he had the sheet swab for DNA. He set up a follow-up in which he sent his supervisor over to Melissa's house to get more information, which she felt was more of a, why are you pulling these homicide assertions out in the public, than it was a real attempt to get information.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing was he reviewed the medical examiner's report when it dropped on January of 2019. And the fourth thing was he reviewed the 911 calls, transcribed them, put them into his report, and then submitted it. And that's what took 8 months. That's what he said. And that's what he did for 8 months.
That's like a week's worth of work.
Mm-hmm. But Melissa thinks that her son's death was a message to her in her activist work.
I could see that.
Which I'm sure is the worst feeling ever.
Yeah.
Like horrible. But she thinks that it was because of her work. After her son's death, she stepped back significantly from her efforts of being an activist. So it slowed her down. Yeah.
I can
It's
see.
sad, but I'm sure that's her giving an interview on the news. But I'm sure, I mean, to think that it was because of her work, I'm sure it bothered her a lot.
Yeah.
Guilt. But as you see, based on the news, they were still getting death threats at home. So
Wow.
even after, she lost her son, she's still getting death threats. And that's horrible. People are fucking ridiculous. But even though she slowed down, she never fully left. So she still does a little bit, just not the hardcore stuff. But she still shows up, does her thing.
Yeah.
So it didn't stop her, but it slowed her down. And that's her and Danye. But that's it. It's still ruled a suicide. Closed. Put in the file room. She's mad as hell.
I mean,
yeah.
I can see why.
Yeah. And she's still getting death threats. So, and the police are like, he done it to himself. Like, no.
So, there's a lot with this. Like,
yeah. I would
obviously, there are things that support everything. But it just seems Occam's razor, the simplest answer is probably the correct one, and suicide does not seem like the simplest option here.
No.
It seems like murder made to look like suicide, or murder, racially motivated murder, which involved a hanging, which caused people to think suicide. On top of the message that I mentioned earlier, the sorry, it throws that in that suicide direction. But I don't know, like bruising, ligature marks that the cops aren't even acknowledging happened.
I'm
which
interested
is odd.
to see if he had any head wounds, because there's a brick laying in his room.
That's strange too.
Yeah.
Well, they said there was bruises on his face or something, right?
She said bruises on her face, ligature marks, and the cop. And I figured they would have went through his messages. Like,
was the brick checked?
No.
Anything in his room checked?
No. They just asked if that bed sheet was one of theirs, and she said, "I've never seen it before in my life."
I'm just saying,
swab it for DNA.
Is there any DNA on the brick? Is there any blood spatter anywhere in the house?
No.
Like, I'm just saying.
And if they didn't even do a full autopsy, it's not like if he had like a spot in his back of his head where he got knocked out or something. I doubt they'd even notice, because he had a head full of hair.
Yeah.
And if they thought it was suicide, I assume they would go ask his friends what was his mood, look through his messages, look for a diary or anything.
Yeah.
See if he was texting people like, "I'm over it, I can't," trying to gauge his mood.
Yeah. Nothing.
But nothing. And secondly, I'm sorry, I know he was passionate about the real estate business, but he was watching YouTube videos the day before.
Yeah. Like he's making plans and trying to do something.
And I know, because I watch YouTube. Sometimes I'll Google manager videos and stuff. I'm like, they're not the most interesting stuff.
No.
I'm passionate about my job, but I'm like, after a while I'm like, okay, God. But he was into it, looking at it. I figured if he had this plan, that wouldn't be a video he'd be watching. He'd be watching something else.
And we brought that up before, cases that have been put as suicide, and I'm like, he just made dinner and ate.
Yeah.
But I got to thinking about that the other day. And people are in the middle of making dinner and eating and making plans, and then something triggers a moment. And they're like, you know what? Fuck it. I can see that happening in certain cases, especially like we talked about, you just ate dinner, and but in this scenario, it doesn't feel like that.
No, and also he had supported his mom in her activist work as a obviously very intelligent young Black man. I figured that would not be his mode of suicide choice. My mom's big on racist and all this stuff. I'm gonna hang my act like it's a lynching.
That didn't even pop in my head, but you're right, because
that wouldn't have been
knowing the cultural significance of hanging from a tree.
Yeah, and his mom was big on the racism and Black Lives Matter.
His mom is an activist for racial injustice. He was right along with it with her. That is not an image he would want to portray, even if he wanted to kill himself. That is not an image he would want for himself or for his mother to see.
Yeah, no.
So it does not make sense.
It doesn't.
If he were to kill himself, it would not be in that manner.
That's what I was thinking.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. That makes perfect sense. There's no way.
Yeah, he wouldn't want her to even associate it with that.
There's no way.
He wouldn't want that to be an image.
As much as they were involved in racial injustice, Black Lives Matter, they would not have anything to do with hanging from a tree. No matter how bad it got, or in their mind, there's no way they would want that. He would want that image associated with him or his mother seeing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like his mom devoted her life to that kind of work. That solidifies
it. I didn't even think about
decisions
that.
Made. That's what I was like.
I assumed he did not kill himself.
That's what I was thinking.
That solidifies it even more.
That's what. Yeah, that popped in my head. Cause I'm like, why would he want her? Because she's big on that. Why would he even want her to affiliate him with the lynching like that? No,
it doesn't make any sense.
He would not want her to do that. Yeah, he wouldn't want her to see him like that. So that's what I'm like. Oh.
Yeah. And I'm surprised that wasn't even brought up as like as much as she. We haven't seen the podcast or other things that they've done, so this may have been brought up, but
she might have mentioned
how is that not like the biggest thing about this case? Mm-hmm. The biggest deterrent to calling it a suicide is right there. Yeah. Like, there's no way around it.
He's a very smart. I mean, he was trying to start his own business.
I mean, but even if you put all of that aside, this one thing throws that completely out. Not that he would commit suicide, but that he would do it in this manner. It completely throws it out the window. No. There's no way it could have been suicide.
No, not if he. If he had any other options, he wouldn't have done.
No, he would have found a completely different way to do it if that was the reason he wanted to do it, or if that's what he wanted to do. Mm-mm. There's no way.
No, he wouldn't have. And knowing that she was home, too, because he just passed her and said, love you. Yeah. And she went to bed. He would not have let her find him like that. No. That's what I was like, wait.
It makes no sense.
So now you're like,
definitely not. It's no, it's open and shut. This was a murder. This was definitely a murder.
It was. And I'm curious. I don't know. I feel so sorry for her, but that had to be targeted to her.
It has to be.
Because I don't know any reason why anyone would want to harm him except to get back to her.
Or it could also be connected to his sexuality as well. Who knows?
You don't know, but
I mean, I tend to lean more towards it was dealing with the mother's work.
How he's found. Yeah. I assume so. But is it for Danye Jones? Horrible, horrible, horrible case. Definitely needed. More attention needs to definitely reopen and looked at because that's crap.
It's straight up bullshit is what it is.
He's like, we passed crap. It's shit.
It's bullshit.
It is. They need... And especially because around that same time, because it was 2017, 2016, that the two younger black guys were found in torched cars, and then someone else was in all these protests, and there was someone else that was another protester that was killed. There's or the guy that got shot by the white cop. Yeah. He got shot by a white cop. The other two protesters were torched in their cars, and then this. Yeah. And they didn't even think to connect it to any of it.
And it's all in that area, too. Yeah. So it's like...
It's all in Ferguson. His mom's a huge protesting, and she's movement for that, especially the guy that got shot. She was huge in that. Yeah. Arranging protests and walks, and then they didn't even associate it with it. They're like, this was like, hey, tell jokes in the front yard.
You got to also figure what were they protesting? Think about this in general. What were they protesting?
Cops.
Well, they were protesting police
Black Lives Matter.
killing of black people. obviously these cops are not going to go that route.
Yeah.
They're not going to try to connect it to that. They're going to try to pull as far away as possible from that, go a completely different direction so that we don't even discuss cops killing black people. They don't want. They don't even
I was
want to
thinking
talk
they were
about
trying
that.
to tie. I was wanting them to tie it more to the racism.
Well, yeah,
than
but
the cop shooting.
if they
Yeah, I
tie
see
it
what
to the
you're saying.
racism, then it goes back to what happened, what racist actions were they
Yeah.
connected to. Okay, what was the mother now we go right back to talking about cops killing black people.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately they're like, we don't want to discuss that. We don't want anybody talking about that. We want to get away from talking about that. Let's move this. Well, he was hanging.
Yeah.
Let's steer this towards suicide.
They
I
even
can see
step
that
it-
happening pretty
Yeah.
easily.
And to step it even further than that happened first, and they probably knew that cop that shot the black. Yeah, they probably knew that
they're
guy.
probably his buddies.
Yeah, they probably sat
And they know
shot
she's
shit
one
in
of the
break
people
room.
that are organizing against them.
Yeah. And the fact they're laughing and joking around with each other shows they did not give any shits about her feelings at all at the moment.
And I mean, God forbid they could have even been involved. Right?
Could
have.
You never
I'm
know.
not saying they were. I don't know. But
Oh yeah, she did protest.
she was protesting
The other
them.
cop, yeah.
And this evidently was connected to her work. So think about who she was protesting. Who would have a problem with her? I'm just saying.
Oh,
I'm not saying they did, but it definitely from a police perspective of investigating, the police could easily have been suspects.
could have, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Any of them.
Yeah. Police officers could definitely be considered suspects based on logical where things are.
Yeah, investigative work. That's horrible. And the fact that
Obviously, if they didn't do it, they can be ruled out. But I'm just saying, they should be suspects.
Yeah. And the fact that it's possible it's tied to her work, I'm like, I hope she does not blame herself for this. It is not her fault. She did not do nothing. It's
she didn't do
whatever
anything.
animal did this, it's to their fault.
She did not do this. It is not her
I hope
fault.
she does not beat herself up about
But
this. But I'm sure
everybody has, as human beings, we have that guilt
as
built
a mother.
into us. Mother guilt.
as a mother.
But not just as a mother, but in general, like if somebody dies and you can connect it back to something you were doing, even though you didn't directly kill them,
Yeah.
the guilt is always going to hit you regardless. She doesn't need to feel that
No, I
because she
know.
is not at fault in any way, shape, or
No.
form here. But obviously, she is going to feel it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's part of our natural brain.
Yeah, and even as a mother, a parent, you're supposed to protect your children. That's what
So
think
she's
of
gonna feel
daily.
it
And,
double.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it feels like that it could have been he's
Not-
possibly gone because she chose to do this.
Yeah,
as a
she's
side
basically-
interest, as a hobby,
Yeah.
and
Well, I wouldn't call it a hobby, but
yeah,
yeah.
but you know what I'm saying. Something she wanted to do.
Yeah.
So she's probably like my selfishness and all this. And,
She might feel like
Yeah.
that, but it's not.
No.
It's probably the what she's doing is probably the least selfish thing.
yeah, it is.
But she's gonna feel like
But for her, yeah.
yeah.
And she
I
shouldn't.
get that.
Yeah, she shouldn't. She should not feel any kind of way.
No,
She lost her
Not her
child
fault.
for no reason at all.
not her fault at all.
Yeah, and I hope she screams and yells and they reopen it, or somebody else comes in and does a better job.
Somebody not associated
Not
with
in
that
Ferguson,
local police
yeah.
departments.
An FBI, somebody.
I would
on
stay
the
away
outside.
from police involved in that state.
Yeah, need to
at
come
all.
in
It needs to be more of a outside. Yeah,
and investigate this thoroughly.
yeah.
But I have a feeling because an autopsy was not done very well, and evidently
Not at
he's
all.
passed.
actually.
I don't know if he was buried, cremated, whatever.
Yeah,
but
we don't know all the
getting
details.
tissue to examine
gonna be
now is
hard.
going to be very difficult to tell especially if he's been in the ground since 2018.
Yeah.
But still, don't stop fighting, because I don't think he did it to himself.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I'm we are, when we go through these cases, we are never 100% certain of anything.
Yeah.
But I can, without a doubt, say I am 100% certain he did not kill himself in that manner.
Yeah. I'm with you. Even though
I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea if he was suicidal.
Yeah,
I have
I don't
no
have any
idea
of
if he
those
was
details.
depressed. I don't know anything about him other than
He loved his
if
mom.
he would have killed himself, he wouldn't
He
have
wouldn't
done
have
it
done
in
it
that
that
way.
way. Yeah.
So I
He loved his
100%
mother.
know that he did not kill himself in this way.
No.
And know
He
that this
loved
was not
her.
a suicide.
Yeah. You can see pictures of them together, always out together. No, he would not have done that
Yeah.
to her in that way.
The cultural significance on top of her work. He did not do this to himself.
I'm with you. Even without
100%.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind
He's
whatsoever.
I'm with
And
you.
in every case we do, there's always doubt one way or another on things that are unsolved or
Yeah, we're like
this one, no doubt
could've.
whatsoever. It was definitely murder.
Yeah, as soon as I thought that, I'm like, well, I picked my side. No, because I was kind of,
Yeah, through
You
this
never
whole
know
case,
what-
I was like, I probably am headed towards murder, but there is an inkling, like you never know.
'Cause,
But
yeah.
as soon as you brought that up, that's done. I'm like, nope, there's no way.
That's solidified it in my mind, because I'm thinking you never know, because people, especially around his age and a little younger, they don't tell their parents everything. So I'm like, he could have been going through some shit, hiding shit. That's why I was like, they should have went through his phone, looked for journals, anything, because she might not have known every single thing. But
Yeah, it
he
could
would not have
be
been-
any.
Yeah, he would not have done that to her. No.
No.
That's why I was like, yeah. So I thought maybe he was going through some stuff, but not that, no.
Not enough to
Not to do that to her. Yeah.
Or have that image associated with him.
Yeah, no. He would have been like, it's bad enough I'm choosing to leave her, but I'm not going to do it in that way. I'm not going to, yeah.
Would not happen.
No. So my thoughts are
And
out.
if the mother ever sees this, that hasn't been
Crossed your
something
mind?
that
Yeah.
crossed your mind, there you go.
Yeah.
That
Bring
will
that
give
up.
you. I know you don't think that he did it, but this
don't
should
either.
solidify it for you.
Yeah.
Because everybody, even if as a mother, she's still, even though if she's like, he didn't do this, he didn't do this, he didn't do this. In the back of her mind, there's always, what if he did?
Did I miss something? Yeah. Did something
This
not catch
should
my attention?
solidify that. That should never be in the back of your mind ever again if you think of it this way.
Yeah, no. Because even we didn't know him, but even looking through pictures of you guys together, I know he would not have done that to you.
No.
No.
For that one reason alone, it should solidify it that that is not what happened.
So yeah, people raise awareness, get this looked into again, because this ain't fair for her, for him. None of it's fair for them. So
Yeah.
thoughts out to his family, his friends, his mother, definitely his mother. Keep spreading his name.
Definitely.
Get this fixed. That's all I got for that one. Told you were gonna sit in the sidelines. You're like,
I was.
My beer.
I told you I'm not going to say a damn word, and here I am
You're
ranting.
like, damn it.
Got me.
I did. Perfect, 'cause
there
you're
are certain
passionate.
subjects that
Yeah.
And
this is one of those
this is definitely one of them.
stupid, senseless
And I kind of hinted earlier
people.
to why it catches me so well. Again, I grew up in Chicago, so I saw every type of person and was around every type of person. There was nobody that I didn't understand. I never even saw the concept of not liking someone because of the color of their skin, their religion, their anything about, anything like that. Like I was around so many different types of people.
Yeah, just how you treat other people
And
and your
then-
personalities.
And then I moved to Tennessee
Oh, Lord.
and I saw things that I just could not understand.
Yeah.
No matter how many times I saw it, I still was like, this makes no sense.
Yeah,
Why would you
senseless.
be like this? Why would you look at that person and hate them, not even knowing them,
Yeah.
simply because of a pigment of their damn skin? I didn't
makes no
understand
sense.
it.
No.
And I watched the white kids in my school call the black kids names, treat them like
Yeah.
shit. The black kids were always to one thing all by themselves, and all the white kids were over here, and they didn't talk to each other. They didn't, nothing. And here I am, I come into school, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And just talking to them, and they're
Yeah.
looking at me like, you really want to do this?
I know, right?
I mean,
Aw, that's awful.
I
That they're
didn't
that way.
understand
Yeah,
it.
that they're that-
I didn't get it. Like, it made no damn sense to me. And I've always, I mean, you know my background of being in music and things like that too. Later, like, hip hop has always been a big part of me.
Mm-hmm.
So I came into that school in Tennessee with headphones on and a Walkman as soon as I walked in the door, because I had one on all the
Yeah.
time. And
Same.
I would take my headphones off and get ready for class. And back then it was a CD Walkman. And so you'd have the CD case like in your bag. And like the black kids would see the CD case sticking out. And they're like I wasn't like everybody else.
Yeah.
I was listening to stuff that they were listening to. So they were like, that's how I got to talking. Like I was like, hey, what's up? And they're like, you sure? And then they'd see that and they'd be like, what's that? And I'll be like, yeah. I'd pull it
Yeah.
out and be like, oh, did you got this one? And they're like, oh, that's the new one. I ain't got that one yet. Let me listen to it. And then I just, yeah. Like, so it was nothing, but everybody else was like way off to the
Yeah,
side.
and it's,
And they're looking at me like I'm weird. It was just so,
yeah, and I didn't
That-
think.
that part of my life, I saw things that I didn't even know existed. And it was just, yeah.
And even here in this little town we're in, you can still
Oh my
see
God.
it. And I wouldn't think. Yeah.
I'm
Like,
used to
Indiana,
seeing it
really?
now, which is a sad thing to say. Like, you should never be used to seeing
Oh, no.
this shit.
That's
But
kind of-
when you see it all the time, you get used to seeing it, and you're like, that's fucked up, but that's how a lot of these people are.
And
I
even like at work, because I always worked close to here, but I'm then working in Kentucky. I'm seeing more people. And like my best friend, she's from Vietnam. But then people at work, obviously I work with black people because I'm around more people.
yeah,
'Cause
you're
I'm in a big
you're,
city.
You're in a more diverse
Yeah.
population.
And I tell
Yeah.
you what, and I get there and I love working there because everyone's just so freaking friendly, so loving. They're like, "Hey, girl, how are you?" Bringing me like they know I'm working a lot. They're like, "You ain't had a break." They're so nice. But then I see like this older white guy come in to drop samples off, and there'll be a black girl there who's amazing. I love her. And then there'll be this white blonde girl here, and she will talk to him, and he won't even acknowledge her. He will just talk to the white blonde girl.
yeah.
And she'll ask him a question. He will just completely not even make eye contact with her. I'm like, you are an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, even though this girl's meaner than this, like, this girl's amazing, but because of the color of her skin, he does not even want to look at her. And I'm like, she's the nicest freaking. I love them. And I'm like, that makes me so mad
I
because
don't
I'm like,
understand the concept.
I just want to grab him and be like, you need to just leave. If you're not going to be respectful to her like you are to her, then get out. But I can't do that. So I'm like,
I don't understand the concept of treating everyone the same. Obviously, if somebody's hurt you
or
or
it's mean. Yeah.
treated you in a way, obviously you're going to treat them differently. But they look different. They have different beliefs. They're different sexuality. Like, none of this stuff should be a
Matters,
reason
no.
to treat them differently. Period. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what color of skin you are. I don't care what sexuality you are. I don't care if you are trans. I don't care any bit of that. Like, if you're cool, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I have no problem with you
Don't hurt
for
nobody.
those reasons whatsoever.
Yeah.
Those have no bearing on whether I like you as a person or not. Period.
But I was just so mad because she's like, "Hey, sir, how are you doing today?" And he just talked to that girl. "Hey, how are you doing? Yeah, you having a good day? About go home?" And just completely ignored her and her asking him how he's doing. And I'm like, really? So I just come up to her and be like, "Hey," joking with her and talking to her because I felt bad. Like, she didn't do nothing except ask him how he's doing. And he just turns and asks the other girl how she's doing. "Are you almost off work? I bet you're excited." Just conversing. She's like, "Yeah, I get off too." And just did not, won't even look at her. I'm like, oh.
It's crap.
I know. But it's awful. People be better. Be better people. Well, that's it for this case.
Well, I will reiterate the statement that they say, and that this mother has said over and over and over again, that people seem to have a problem with, but I'm going to say it, Black Lives Matter. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Definitely.
The whole, when you hear people say that and you say, well, all lives matter. Of course all lives matter. Of course they do.
But we're not.
But that's not the point.
Like, this
The
is
point of that
unnecessary.
statement is to say, by the way, Black Lives Matter. Like, it's not negating every other kind of life. Like, if it's not saying white lives don't matter. They do. But
Or Asian.
there's
or
not
anything.
a question. There's not a question to whether white lives matter.
Yeah.
Like, white people don't have those kind of problems.
No.
So the statement Black Lives Matter is kind of like, there's kind of like a silent also. You know how there's words with a silent letter in it? Like, that's kind of what, there's a silent to or also.
Yeah, like they're equal.
It's like, we get it, but also Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Like, it's an add-on. It's not meant to overshadow everybody else.
No.
It's saying that they don't feel like they have
Like they're on
mattered.
the
That
same-
everybody else
yeah.
has mattered except them. And they're saying, hey, they matter.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the problem with that statement.
I don't
I
either.
will say it gladly because I completely agree.
Yeah.
And there's not many people that understand it for some reason. I fully get
I
the
do too.
statement. And this is going to be controversial, but what came from that, the defund the police movement, most people don't understand that one either. And a lot of people have a problem with it. But if you actually pay attention to what they were trying to do with that, it makes perfect sense. They were not trying to fully defund the police and make that where there are no cops.
Yeah, no.
That was not the point in that whole plan. What that was is, for example, you have people who have mental illnesses who were out in the street and cops would come up on them because they were called, because they were acting crazy and out there.
Well, we did a case like that.
And the first thing, because cops aren't social workers.
Yeah.
They're not therapists.
trained in
They're
that stuff.
not trained to deal with those kind of people. So their instinct is to treat them like a criminal. So they're going to go in and treat them like a criminal, which cannot be done because it's just going to end up with people getting shot. Because those type of people don't know how to stand down in those scenarios.
Yeah. And it goes again to, and I think the training's important because in myself, it takes a lot of training to be able to be, and I'm trying to think, like, if I'm against someone that's obviously having, like you said, mental breakdown, I'm not used to that stuff. He's freaking out. He keeps coming at me. I want to protect myself.
Obviously.
So if I don't have the training to be able to control
the first
that,
thing you're going to
I'm
do
going to
is
do is, because
So
it's the training.
The defunding the police, what they were wanting to do is, the police have all these funds for training, for all this different stuff. And what they wanted to do is take some of that funding,
From other places,
and put it into maybe having on-call therapists or on-call social workers to go with police to these calls.
Yeah.
Or be there instead of the police in some cases. Same thing with domestic issues. Have somebody who is trained to deal with domestic issues go with the police officers so they could de-escalate these situations. It was not defunding the police completely. It was taking their funding that they have and reallocating some of it to go to those things so that these deaths can be avoided.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean,
And
it'd
it's
be
not
like
just
an
for
employee
mental illness. It's for a lot of different things. It was for dealing with racial issues as well. Obviously, there are people who do not trust the police because of things like this. But if you have someone else from their community who's there with the police or instead of the police, helping talk down these situations or de-escalate them, you may not get to the point where somebody is being shot. And that's all defund the police was.
Yeah. And
I know people get crazy with it and they're like, you can't defund that bullshit. No, pay attention. Do some research. Try to figure out what people are saying. A lot of times they're trying to do things that you would fully agree with if you paid attention.
And I even know someone that was in a domestic situation and had to fight for her safety. Cops were called and showed up, and she was arrested because he had scratches. Like, he hit her. She scratched him to get him away from her, and the cops came and be like, okay, you don't have any
She doesn't have any marks on her. He has scratches.
You're going.
Yep.
And we're someone that was used to the domestic situation, be like, okay, tell me this.
They might have been able to figure things out and kind of go
instead of cops come in and be like, okay, he's got scratches, you don't have a mark, you're going to jail. No, like, you need someone there that does that, victim's advocate or something, says, okay, let me see. And can normally tell the way he's talking, I can tell he's the aggressor. The way she's talking, I can tell. They can tell that stuff because they're used to it. They work in that field.
Yep.
Where a cop's just going to go and arrest whoever doesn't have marks.
Yep.
That's,
And literally, that is all defund the police was. I get it. The name was horrible.
Yeah.
The name makes you think they're trying to get rid of the police completely.
Take money.
I completely get that. But please, when you hear things like these, go do some research and figure out exactly what people mean. I get it. These names.
Yeah.
Sometimes the names don't work.
Yeah, but the purpose.
If they would have renamed defund the police to something a little bit better, I think people would have accepted it wholeheartedly.
Yes.
I think the name is what fucked the people up.
Yeah.
But me being the person I am, I always research things before I
Google over here.
I'm a logical person. I need to find out exactly what you're talking about to make a decision. I can't just by the name. I'm not going to go, oh, that's bullshit.
Which is good because I'll be going through cases and name something and be like, what is that? And then you'll look it up because I'm like, I didn't even think about it. I just read the name and moved on. You're like, wait, what's that for? What's that drug for? What's that? And you actually look it up.
Yeah, we've had cases where you talked about like a medication. I'm like, wait a minute, that's used for this.
Or a movement or something. You're like, wait, what's that? And you'll look it up. That's how it is. So.
Yep. All right. Well, we've ranted for long enough. If you're still with us.
If you're still here.
If you're still here.
Punch your computer.
If you're still here, feel free to like and subscribe. Go to loveandluminol.com. I'm doing the uhs again, and someone get messaged about it again. Go to loveandluminol.com.
At least I'm not awake all the time.
Yeah, she's awake. Go to loveandluminol.com. That'll give you access to all the places that we have audio and video versions of our podcast. There's also a link to all of our social media accounts there. We are at Love and Luminol everywhere except for X. We're not on X. Sorry.
No.
Also, there's a contact form on the website, as well as we do answer messages through our social media accounts. Again, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
I care. What do they call that? It's not brainwashing.
Subliminal messaging.
Like that thing,
it's repetitive subliminal messaging.
Like and subscribe. Look at that! I just heard it used today too. They go to this place and they get this little pendulum moves in front of your eyes.
Oh, like hypnotizing?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you were doing.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
But all right, guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Be nice, and we'll see you next time.
Love everyone. Peace.
Bye.